Nollywood is changing very fast. The audiences are also changing very fast. Platforms as well are changing. And somewhere inside all that noise, filmmakers are trying to figure out whether storytelling still carries the industry or if algorithm has already taken over. Today, I am sitting down with filmmaker Mr. Dimbo Atiya. We had a conversation that goes beyond surface level film production, the realities of creating stories in Nigeria, his new cinema release, and one conversation that caught my attention online, and that is his thoughts on the grab and go formula shaping many YouTube films today. This interview is really about the future of filmmaking, what filmmakers are gaining, what they may be losing, and whether Nigerian cinema is moving towards speed or depth. This is my conversation with Mr. Dimbo Atiya. Enjoy. I want to know, can you walk me through your journey into filmmaking?
It was never something that I wanted to do. I did not wake up. I didn't have the board that you put on your wall when you're young. I don't know what kind of career so you want to know. It never was. I sort of have had, or before I discovered what I could do, I knew that I had something about me that loved to create, but it wasn't something that I was very conscious of. It was just there, but it wasn't something that I kept thinking about, because at some point in my life, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I promise you, I wanted to be a military man. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a lawyer. A child, everywhere you enter, once you don't see something that inspires you for the day, you want to be the next day, you want to be, And so my path towards education, it wasn't really about, oh, this is where I was going to, and then everything was tailored to it. I just went to school. Like normal, your parents wanted you to go to school. I went to school. And then I decided, okay, let me just read arts, because they were easier than science. Because the science, it was just so complicated for me. I was like, well, let me just go and read arts. But I ended up in a science school. In Jos, science school crew. I ended up in science school crew, and it was very obvious that science was on for me, because we were the ones at the bottom of the graduating class, very, very bottom of the graduating class. And then for a long time after my secondary school education, I just was at home, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. So I went into craft making, just printing stuff, designing things. These are called page markers. You just design them, like for weddings. You design them, you give people as souvenirs, they put it within their Bibles or their books. I made that for a while, but I realized I was good with the graphic idea. I couldn't manipulate the computer. So I used to go to a friend called IK. IK would be the one that would sit on the computer, I'll share my ideas, I will bring it down. But I noticed there was something minimal about my designs. They were always very minimal, very straight up. People loved it. So that's where the creative juice started. And then I went to the Plateau State Polytechnic to study urban and regional planning. I did not know what that was. I just went. It was admission. I just went. Met a lot of amazing people. Henry Garba, which call him Buzu. Team Timothy, and just a lot of amazing people. I had a fantastic 2 years doing diploma in urban and regional planning. I promise you, we were just doing grids, how to set up cities, landscaping and everything. It was architecture. Let's say it was Temu architecture, like architecture, but in a very minimal and I was there doing this, and then one time students started agitating for better quality life in school. And it was me, Henry Garba, team, and some other people that decided that we were going to go and, confront the school authority to change the thing, make sure that students are, and that thing snowballed into a riot. And after that, they were now looking for the people who organized the riot. And we were in the forefront of that list. We were expelled from school. Yes, we were sent away from school. So I never graduated. At least Henry Garba, I think he went back to go and tidy up, or he went somewhere. I can't remember, but I never graduated the urban and regional planning because I was expelled from school. And so I wanted to go to other polytechnics, but you know how they would send your name to other polytechnics and say, be careful with these people. So I was home, doing nothing, eating my mother's food, and my mother was really worried about what this boy is going to do next. And then this lady came to see her one day, her very good friend, came to see her one day and told her, the Institute of Journalism just opened down the street. She's the director general of the school. And my mom said, thank God, dude. I have this boy sitting down here and he's not doing anything. She said, bring him to school on Monday, I'll give him an audition. On Monday, I literally dragged my leg to go to that school. walked in there, met this guy, one Hausa man, Malang Awa, thick, very thick Fulani accent, but he spoke impeccable English.
Wow.
Yes, I met him. I did my registration, and immediately I started lectures. I just went into his class, which was radio production, and I fell in love with that class.
Oh,
it was different. It was fresh. It was a revelation for things that I have observed. You know, when you hear radio, and then you now start hearing how everything is named, and that kind of piqued my curiosity. Came back the following day after, and that's how I went through the Institute of Journalism. And Malam Awal had a huge impact in pulling out my creative juices, because me and a certain guy called what's his name, Kenzie Ngupar, who ended up having a huge career at the Plateau Radio Television Corporation. We were the first two guys to start radio campus broadcast at the institute, and that was how every day we have to create shows for the school, and students were just loving it. I was there in my second year, and then I heard that there was a film school in Jos. And I was curious, like, film school? I went there and I met a couple of people that I knew that were in the school. Whoa. I was like, and then they were fine girls. Let me be honest. Okay. And then I was like, wait, this is where I should be. Now I know this film thing. This is my thing. I want to do this film thing, And that's how I didn't finish the Institute of Journalism. I went to apply for film school, and I was given admission.
Oh my.
And I moved to go and start film school. So I did 2 years at the National Film Institute in Jos, and that was where my film journey started. The fact that I got a lot of training from a lot of people, met a lot of young filmmakers, opened my eyes to the possibilities of things that I could do in terms of storytelling. Because at this point, I was already writing things. Like, I already had ideas, stories, and I didn't know they were supposed to be, made for film, So that was where it started from. The moment I got through that, I just knew that this was what I wanted to do. Then went to the New York Film Academy just to polish what I thought I knew. Went there, and it was hands-on. It was extensive. Those guys were brutal. It was extensive filmmaking, and it just really catalyzed everything for me. And at some point, I just knew that this is where I want to. And then when I came back in 2012, the first thing that I did was to start my own production company. And by 2015, we got commissioned to do Sons of the Caliphate by Abuja.
Whoa.
Yes. That was a 13-episode drama series. And even before we finished the first season, we were commissioned to do the second season. So we ended up with a 26 drama that was a massive hit.
Sons of the Caliphate.
Oh no, the idea was that I learned the skill of entrepreneurship from a Pan-African University project that we did with the British Council called Talent is Not Enough. And when we did entrepreneurial class, one of the major lessons that I learned is that entrepreneurs are people who look for problems and solve them. So in the midst of everything, what are the issues? What is the problem on ground? You find that problem, then you find a solution to it. That's entrepreneurial. And I looked at the industry, Northern Nigeria, which I'm from Nasarawa State, and I grew up all my life in Jos. Pretty much, so North Central. Yeah, but then I had a lot of relationship with a lot of people from the core northern part of Nigeria. And what I noticed instantly was that the whole of the productions that came to Nollywood at that time were all centered in the Southwest, South, or Southeast.
Sure.
Northern Nigeria had a film industry, but it was core northern Hausa. It was embedded in religion and deep culture. So there were things that they could not explore because of the restrictions. And that way they couldn't take it to mainstream because nobody wanted to see that, So they had their own market base. And that was okay for them. But I looked at it and I said, but that is a problem.
Really?
The northern part of Nigeria is rich in culture. There are nuances that we can explore. And instantly, I decided, what? I put them in an idea and I sent it to Abuja. And instantly, it was a hit with her because nobody had done this. She saw the vision immediately and decided, let's go and do this. So when we wanted to tell the northern story, what we knew we were going to do was not mess up the cultural aspect of it. We needed to keep to the core of the culture. But then we also needed to stay away from religion. It's something that they are sensitive about. And if you do not represent it well, it becomes a problem. So we had a consultant who was with us in the writer's room. And in terms of the context of religion and culture, he guided us. Oh, if you do this, it will upset, it will offend. So when Sons of the Caliphate came out, it was a core mainstream contemporary story set in northern Nigeria with all the nuances, and everybody loved it. So you could be from Nnewi, you watch Sons of the Caliphate, it resonated with you because the story was relatable. And then it was also a whole fresh new perspective because these were now northern aristocrats, northern nobles, people speaking impeccable English. Because there has always been a stereotype that northern Nigeria is backwards.
Exactly.
I promise you, when we did the premiere for Sons of the Caliphate in Lagos, a journalist walked up to me and said, this thing that you did, is it really true? They say it's Boko Haram and everything. No, they were shocked that you go to northern Nigeria and you find people who actually went to Harvard.
True that.
Or went to Oxford. You know, they will say, oh, one day. No, Hausa people do weddings for 7 days. Each day is something that is spending billions. That's how they live. It's not that they're not locked. You don't understand. The Durbar is one of the biggest cultural festivals in the world. Forget that they've not been able to export it that big, but the Durbar is one of the most colorful. You need to attend the Durbar and understand how artistic and how cultural that thing is. So there was so much that nobody was exploiting. And even the core Hausa filmmakers were afraid of going to that place. But we stepped in there because I understood what the thing was. And then the elite of the North were watching Sons of the Caliphate because they could see themselves represented in this thing.
And represented properly.
Properly. I promise you, when we premiered War, which is a sequel, like a spin-off of Sons of the Caliphate, a prominent Nigerian Hausa man called me on the phone and said, this boy, where did you get these caps that these people are wearing?
I was practically invested in War.
You don't understand. I said, a prominent Nigerian man called me on the phone and said, this boy, all these caps that these guys are wearing, where did you get them? Because I had to represent the culture in its proper context. You know, so at the end of the day, it did something to Nollywood. And I can boldly say that was a whole new direction and perspective for filmmakers to realize that the core northern part of Nigeria also had, you know, stories that they could actually, you know, explore.
Yeah.
You know, the things that they could look into. And all of a sudden, check it and see. Since Sons of the Caliphate, everybody now has, you don't see a Hausa man selling Indomie by the gate and opening there with a thick accent. No. You now have aristocratic families. Go to YouTube now. Most of their stories, they have stories from northern Nigeria about culture, about relationships, about marriage, and all of these things happen because Sons of the Caliphate opened the door. You know, and so we realized that our strength, personally, I realized that my strength was telling more of the northern stories in the context or in a way that it celebrated their richness, celebrated whatever it is that we, you know, because every day you wake up, there's this, you know, stereotype that northern Nigeria is bedeviled by all the bad things.
True.
But there are beautiful things happening around here. The people have maintained their culture. The people have maintained their decency. The people have maintained religion. And to be honest with you, apart from all of these evil things that are happening, this is probably the North is probably one of the most decent places to live.
I agree.
In terms of the way we think and the way we do our things.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I came to the North first in 2008. And when I came, immediately I fell in love with the North.
Yeah.
And since 2008, I've not gone back.
You've not gone back.
I've not gone back.
Yep.
I only go and come back.
I can understand that.
In fact, I married a Northerner.
Oh, wow.
I married a Northerner. My wife is from Kaduna State.
You see?
I love the North. I came to the North and I fell in love with the northern part of Nigeria immediately.
Absolutely.
I schooled in the North, everything. In fact, if you want to get me, just say anything that
I think that one of the major reasons why the North is the way it is because religion found its base in northern Nigeria. Whether it was the Christian missionaries that came, of course, they found, you know, settlement in the Middle Belt, and that's why Christianity is profound around here.
Yeah.
We are people who really are very spiritual and religious, and so a lot of the way we deal with things, you know, we look at it first from a faith perspective before we even look at it from any other, you know. And so is the core North. Of course, when Islam came, settled in the core northern part of Nigeria, and these people are embedded into culture and religion. That is why a Hausa man, when you say to a Hausa man, "Then Allah," and you put God in the mix of it, don't go to sleep. Nothing will happen. You can give a Hausa man 10 billion and tell him, "Then Allah, I'll come and collect it tomorrow." You come and collect that money. Just because there is Allah in the mix of it. So that has made us the sort of people where you can trust us. People, you can give a keke man money and say go and buy something. He will go and buy it and come back.
Come back. True that.
Because a lot of it, we are not really after, so to say, the things of the world, but which is very important. Don't get me wrong.
True that.
Looking for wealth, looking for money, doing business is very key. But a proper just boy, when you call him on the phone, the first thing that is having a conversation with you is understanding what you want him to do, not about money.
Yeah.
But I know people in other places where when you call the person, they're like, Chama, how much do you stay?
That's true.
Wait, listen to what you want to are going to do. You are not even talking yet. We are talking about money, So it's pretty much the way we are. A lot of the people who made the creative industry function, a lot of them, check it and see, came from Jos, Kaduna. If you go to Lagos, yes, I promise you, forget the fact that the Southwest guys are always in front. If you go to the back end of it, and the reason why it works is because we do things in form of community from around here. I speak as a Jos boy because you go to Jos and our creative process is not about a tribe. Because Jos is a mixture of everybody.
Yes.
When we create with the mindset that it needs to go around so that everybody understands it.
Yes.
So when we left Jos and went to Lagos, we easily could fit in because we were not speaking only Yoruba.
Yeah.
We were creating music that an Isan man will listen to.
Exactly.
A man from Idoma will listen to. A man from Ishekiri or a man from Ilewi. So the music became, and that's why people like Jesse Jacks, Ice Prince, what's his name? The guy that produces for Chopsticks.
Yeah.
Dr. Seth, all of these are just boys. Their creative process were all built by a community, sense of community.
I think Jeremiah Gang as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Jeremiah Gang was
check
the
it and
first
see.
guy I heard from.
I mean, when we did Justified, there's a project called Justified that I started, and the idea was identifying the people who were born, bred, fried, roasted, grew up in Jos, and they're in the creative space. I promise you, there are almost about 130 names that we have.
Whoa.
I'm talking about industry leaders, people who have gained the highest level of it in terms of film, music, art, fashion, you name it. Because coming from around here, there is just something. Go to Kaduna, when you hear Croc Boy or you hear Croc Babe, check it and see. Almost every Kaduna person that went to Big Brother made an impact. Check it and see. They will make an impact. Whether they're from Adamawa, whether they're from Kaduna, whether they're from Benue. I mean, you're talking of the likes of Tupac, Two-Face and all the other. Yeah. Check it and see. The whole of
Sadi.
Even my own Nasarawa state that you go to, Bez Idakula is there. What's this guy, the rapper's name? Is this rapper that was with them 6 foot plus? Anyway, pretty much, I'm just saying, Nasarawa that you hardly hear of. By the time I start calling names for you, Lydia Idakula, Bez Idakula, all the names. Myself, I'm originally from Nasarawa State, So you check it and see. We grew up in a place where community and a sense of togetherness. We will always gather. Go to when the Emma were back in Jos. If you go to the studio, it was everybody was there. Everybody was contributing, and that's how we understand how to work as a team. It was something that really shaped us from around here. So. Yeah, I'll give it to Northern Nigeria, The good thing that the Southwest has, or the Southeast, or the South South, is that they're very strong with the media.
Yeah.
So they're able to sell themselves easy. I mean, if you're talking about the media, the Southwest has the media. So it's easy to hype and it's easy to blow. Because when you have a musician like Morel, one of the best R&B contemporary Hausa musicians in Nigeria, do you understand?
Yeah.
Who should be in the level with Davido? I think that the only problem that Morel will complain about is the visibility. True. Because they will not pick him up and blow him up. But is one Fola or somebody just appeared with one song and everybody knows Fola, Sheyi Vibe, who's just saying, I don't understand what he's saying, but he's all over the place. Why? Because they have media that can blow this. One of the best rappers in this country is Classic. I don't care what anybody says.
Classic, I love Classic.
I don't care what anybody. Classic and his rhymes. There are only few rappers in this country that can stand where
they
Classic.
do things regardless of the language.
Bro,
you can flow.
I am telling you, there are only few artists in this country, rappers that can stand where Classic is. But he's from Northern Nigeria. He does not have the platform to blow and be loud. Even if he doesn't do anything, nobody is picking up his story because he's not from the Southwest. I promise you, if Classic was a Yoruba boy, he probably would have gone far. So There is so much happening in northern Nigeria. I promise you, there are some people that walk into a room and they don't know who I am until I mention my name. They're like, oh, Dimbo, because nobody is. That's why I keep telling my wife, I say, if I had an option, I'll not be on social media. But I can't. I have to be on social media. It's the only way that I sell myself. It's the only way that I make myself relevant and I boast about the things that I do. I call myself the king of casting. Don't care what anybody says. Now everybody will give you what title.
Exactly.
And so those are the things that we're dealing with from around here. If only we had the platforms or the media or the presence. You see, this thing that you're doing is very important because now, a lot of people who do not know me are open up to knowing me through what you're doing, through your audience. If we just had more of this happening from around here, and if we just open up to people so they see what our creative processes are, see what we're dealing with every day. We'll go places. But northern Nigeria is solid.
It is
very solid.
It is solid. It is solid. So I'd love to ask again, right? Through your process, right, did you ever face any challenge as a filmmaker, and how did you navigate those challenges?
So just like every other person, challenges in Nigeria are they are almost like our hair. Like there are plenty of the hair that you have in your body, because it's almost every day that Nigeria challenges you.
True.
Some of the strongest minds that you will ever meet in the world are Nigerians. Why? Because we have to, whether we like it or not, we have to go through everything that is thrown at us. It's almost like you're going against the grain every day. You want to create is a problem. You want to do this is a problem. There are so many issues that you wake up every day as a challenge. One of the things that I said to myself, and it wasn't even because I was thinking about the challenges, I just said to myself, if I'm going to step into this industry, then I have to be the best at what I do. So it wasn't really about making the money, to be honest. My mind didn't go there because I have always never seen myself as a businessman. I've always just seen myself as a creative. So every time I get an opportunity to make something or to do something, it is the passion of wanting to do better than the last that always pushes me, not necessarily the money. Because at the end of the day, I keep saying it, and I dare anybody to counter what I've said. Nobody in the creative industry in Nigeria is paid what is worth. Nobody. If I am going to, as a producer, and what I've achieved, say this is what you're going to pay me, nobody can afford me. There are so many people out there that you cannot afford. Most of the actors who come on our set is now we. Somebody like a Sophia Lakija, if we're going to be honest, if this girl decides she's going to put a word on her craft, you will not afford her. But me and Sophia, I can call Sophia and say, how far, my dear? And Sophie can come here and even do for free if she wants to. But those are the things that we do. So at some point, we just run this industry. We go at it by the passion. Of course, there are some people who have had the opportunity to make one or two things out of it. But nobody is making a living. I promise you, go and check the definition of making a living. Nobody is making a living from the creative space in Nigeria. Forget whatever it is. Even the people who, whether it is you are from the creative space, whether you are from the administrative angle, whether you are from the whatever angle of it, we're all struggling. We're all just catching. I give you an example. So when I went to film school in New York, I met a lady, Paula Ellis. I don't know if you know Jay Ellis, the American actor who was in what's that thing with Tom Cruise, the jet thing, with the movie.
Mission Impossible.
No. Was it Tom Cruise? No. So it was a remake of an old this fighter jet. Anyway, but just look up for Jay Ellis. He's a renowned Black American actor. That's his mom. And we went to school together. We became very good friends, and over time we just kept in touch. Once in a while, we check up. Oh, Dimbo, how are you? And so the last time we had a conversation, she had gotten commissioned to do a 6-part series. This was her in her 50s, just leaving corporate world and trying to, follow her passion. She was so excited about it. She was, so she was sharing it, and she was just talking about how it wasn't easy, Hollywood and da. And so she was like, so what have you been up to? I said, oh yeah, we just finished a 260 episode drama series. She was like, what? 260 in her mind I'm sure she went to Hollywood and like, what? 260 episodes of a drama series. Do you know what that is? She in her mind she thought, oh, this guy don't hammer me like on that level. But me, it was after the conversation that I realized why she was so shocked. And in my head, I'm like, wait, no, nothing, no, that's it. When it comes to the Nigerian factor of it, it was 260 episodes that we suffered through, got it out, and ended up with our salaries in our pocket, nothing else,
nothing extra.
But that is the idea. We only do these things because we're passionate about it.
Sure.
I promise you, I pay the rent for this place simply because I need to keep a roof over the business. We're not making the millions that we can. And people really don't understand it. When somebody says the Funke Akindele made 2.7 billion in the cinema, that doesn't go to our pocket.
No.
Distributors day, exhibitors day, taxes are there. She has to recoup investment in the film. Investors day. So these 5 things are waiting to collect their own share. At the end of the day, if Funke tells you how much she has gone home with, you will shout. But whatever it is, she's comfortable. At least she has recouped her money. She can make another film. So, but when they say 2 point something billion, that's barely 1 point something million dollars. Barely. Yeah. A film in the US, Markel just grossed almost $500 million. I mean, there's no film in Nigeria that has grossed $2 million yet. None. So we're really grossly, we have less than 300 and something screens in this country. America is talking about 5,000 screens. So we're really struggling. There's nothing here. So when people say 2 point something billion, they think that there's so much money in this thing that we're doing. No, there's no money in it. And so a lot of the challenges is, first of all, even having to convince investors, to put money into making these things, because the numbers are not there. You can't convince anybody. And even if they do, it's simply because they know you. Okay, I know you. And most times they're giving you not because they understand the mathematics. No, they just understand that you will give me back my money with interest at a certain period. For example, we decided that at some point we're going to go into film production and let's do our own thing with investors' money. We tried that once and, we're still falling. Investors got their money. There was a slight delay, but they got their money back. And so we said, okay, let's go back to that, instead of waiting for commission jobs, make our own films. And so we approached investors, which are family and friends. And, family and friends put money into it. And we gave them a time period. And just when we went into all the production, the industry had these issues. Streamers pulled away. All of a sudden, till today, the industry does not have distribution outlets. The only one that we have right now is the cinema. And most of the films that were shot were not shot for cinema. We didn't shoot them for cinema. A lot of the films that we got money to make from investors were films that we wanted to go direct to the streamers. And direct to the streamers, they say, don't worry, just give me the $50,000. Give me the $30,000. I'm fine with it. Because the budget was minimal. We just wanted straight up, simple stories, minimal budget, go there and flip it. But then now they are not there. These are not films that you can go to the cinema to project, because it does not have the cinema quality. So we're stuck with films. Investors are really, really not happy. They are upset. They want their money back, and we're navigating to see where we can go to. These are the challenges. These things become a major problem, because now the truth is that Nollywood does not have a structure that any banking, financial, whatever can really hold on to. We don't have that sort of structure. You want loan to make a movie, please don't go to a bank, because your movie might not. Imagine if I took a loan from a bank 2 years ago to make most of the films, that I probably would be somewhere now with a police case or with lawyers all over me. The interest rate will be growing. Because as it is right now, who knew that the industry was going to tank? So, and sometimes the truth is that they ask you and they want you to bring so much to justify why they're going to give you this money. And these are things that most filmmakers cannot. So when they say collateral, how many filmmakers have collaterals to give? I remember that, I don't know if this is public, but I know that Jade Osuberi, when she was going to do Isoken, that's the name of the film, yeah? Isoken, yes. Okay. She had to mortgage her family house or something like that. I can't remember, before she got the loan. And the moment she got the loan, she made that film, was a huge success, and she paid back. Now, if you go to that bank, the first thing that they will tell you is, oh, we're happy, we're excited about Jade, But it's a risk that a lot of other filmmakers cannot take. But see where she's gone to. She's become one of the biggest in the country because she took the risk. But it's a lot of things that a lot of other filmmakers cannot afford. Those are the challenges. Funding has become a problem. And it's limiting us because you don't explore. You're afraid.
Yeah.
I keep telling, anytime I do a series, I'm always in the writer's room.
Hmm.
Executive producer, sometimes you don't have a need to be there, but me, I will be there. Because if you leave these writers, they will go to space and come back with your story. You will hear somebody jumping up 10 million bridge in a Lamborghini. How are you going how are you going to do that? So when they start going up, you bring them, cool them down. Calm down, calm down. Can we? And when they're going, they now find, you know the thing about writers, they get to a point and then they get hooked and they don't know how to do it. They just create one new character and create one new scenario so that they'll get out of it. Come back here. You're adding more characters. Who wants to pay more actors? Do you get? That's why I'm always in the writer's room. Because you want to be very careful. So you can't explore. You can't be experimental. You can't be how do I put it? Avant-garde. The things that you're limited to because your budget is lean. You know, you're thinking about a car crash. The thing that comes to your mind is
How do you achieve
which car are you going to destroy? But imagine if you had the budget to destroy cars, that will work. Narrative can work. Then you now have to pay stunts people. You now have to pay authorities, bring firefighters, all the things that safety that you need to make sure that that scene works. These are things that we deal with every day. So it limits us. That's why we always do the room and parlor productions. Why? Because it's easier. As a matter of fact, it's even getting more expensive now because locations have also become a problem. The people who we go to rent Airbnbs and shortlets have realized that they have a mindset that you people are making money as filmmakers. So you go to rent an Airbnb or a shortlet to shoot and you're paying 3 times what ordinary lodgers will pay. I mean, that's a lot of money. So most times people just compromise and they just say, oh, he's a billionaire, and you see that his living room is not even bigger than this. It doesn't work that way. These are the issues, the challenges. One of the things that also we deal with every day as a challenge is the fact that policies in this country do not favor us as creatives. Let's be honest. First of all, I keep saying this thing and I'll repeat it here. Technically, there's nothing that we use in the creative space that is manufactured in this country.
True.
I dare you check it, whether down to cables, to hard drives, down to the C-stand that your camera is standing on. None of it, even the pouch that your camera is on, it was not produced in this country. We ship in everything and we pay so much income tax on them or duties on these things. We can have a waiver and they'll say, oh, the creative industry, you're buying computers. Everything that you see in this office was shipped from abroad. And we paid heavy money. Down to the drives that we bought to shoot our series in. We had to clear them with heavy money at the customs. You know, these are issues that affect us. So, for example, a creative or a content creator that lives in the US or in Europe or lives in the Middle East have access to equipment cheaper than what you will have. So if he's buying a GoPro camera for $2,000, he probably just pay extra tax on it. But you see, you are paying the extra tax, you're paying the shipping, and when it comes to Nigeria, custom will have to clear. So at the end of the day, you're paying almost double the price of that equipment. How do you compete with somebody from out there? So he has superior advantage to equipment. Anytime I see an equipment that I like, I go to YouTube to see a review. You see all these small boys all over the place with it. You hardly find anybody from around here with it because it's expensive. Things are hard. This Osmo, whatever, that small camera that all these girls run, that thing is almost 2 million naira. So you want to be a content maker, where are you going to start from? Let's say you want to use your phone. Some of the phones that have the best cameras are expensive. When they come to Nigeria. Is it the iPhone? It's expensive. Is it the Samsung? It's expensive. And if you buy the small one, the camera quality is not high enough to be, but it's a start. But those are the challenges. These are the things that we're having issues with. And then it comes to the issue of pricing. In this country, people have seen creatives as people who are nobodies. Once you're in the entertainment industry, they feel like you are a failure. That's why you're here. You should have been an engineer, a doctor, or a scientist. Do you understand? That you decided to keep dada or keep your hair rough, that you decided to go into writing, you decided to be a film director or a filmmaker, you decided to be a musician. It is our society seeing you as, you know. But you see, when you look at it very well, you find out that people in the creative space, despite the challenges, are making things that people who are sitting in labs, in hospitals, are not able to. Of course, they have the prestige and the intelligence to go about and say, I'm a medical doctor. But there's a boy that is sitting down right now cooking on some beats. In another 2 weeks, he goes viral and he's going to make money that a doctor does not see in 2 years. We have not been able to convince the society that what we are creating is good enough. Whatever it is that we're doing as a career is good enough. I can walk anywhere and say I'm a filmmaker. I'm not ashamed of it. But that is because you have to conscientize the people every time. The people need to understand that the creative space right now is making millionaires and billionaires.
Sure.
And we have to understand those who are policymakers, those who are financial lenders, anything that supports this industry, they need to look into it and say, you know what, it's not everybody that must go and get a PhD. It's not everybody that must go and get a BSc. It's not everybody that must go and get a master's degree. I don't have a BSc. I didn't go to a university. I went to the normal, proper schools where I gained the knowledge that I needed for what I'm doing. Every day I learn on the job. When I sit down on my desk, I'm looking at what people are doing. I'm understanding what the future of what I'm doing is, and I stay with the whatever. I was at the event last night and people were saying, Mr. Dimbo, like your swag. I say, I'm trying to be younger. I'm 53 now. I'm going to 53. You know, I want to blend. So I have a lot of young people around me. I'm learning the language. I'm learning the swag. I'm learning how to use social media. I'm learning everything that will just make me be late. Because I'm in an industry where if you become obsolete, they will run and leave you.
True.
Nobody will remember
Very
you.
true.
You know, so these are things that we must do every day because people need to understand that because I'm a filmmaker, it does not make me any less than any professor or any engineer out there. There are things that I'm doing. At the end of the day, when you finish your hard engineer or medical work, you want to relax. You come to me.
This is where
exactly when you tune your television, it is the things that I've created that makes you relax. It is the things I've created that makes you human. It makes you realize, oh, you know, beyond just seeing cadavers every day, I can come back home and see beautiful things. So I contribute to the society. And I think that people need to understand that those of us who are contributing to this industry are also humans. We're people who have loved ones. This is the only thing I know how to do. Like, I don't have any other source of income. I promise you, this is the only work that I do. So I have myself to take care of. I have a family to take care of. I have people that I must take care of in this life. And this is the only thing that I do. It doesn't pay me every month. It pays me periodically. And so it's also a big challenge for me, you know, that I'm not a salary earner. I have to work every other day. I have people's money sitting on my head that I need to take care of. These are the things and the challenges that I deal with every day as a creative. You know, basically.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. So I think earlier in the year, I made a video, and I think that's where we had an exchange where I said, are we running out of films? Are we running out of stories in Nollywood, especially YouTube films? They are becoming so repetitive. And you dropped a comment on that video. You said it's because the YouTube formula right now is grab and go.
Yeah.
So I really want to understand what you meant by that statement.
So one of the things that you must understand is that every creative enterprise in Nigeria is self-funded. Maybe one or two who have gotten grants from government. I want to know those ones so I know how they did it. Maybe one or two who have gotten loans from banks and financial institutions. I want to know those ones and I want to know how they did it. But I can guarantee you that 99.9% of the investment in the creative space is from out of pocket. We use our own money to make these films. And so for us, there's always the first idea of how do I recoup my investment. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So for the people who diversified and went to YouTube, it was in the quest of making money, not necessarily putting out their work. Everybody that is in the YouTube space is not there because he's an artist. They're all there because they are business people making money. Why? Because if you look at what they are chunking out, artistically, there's nothing to write home about. All the tenets of filmmaking, all the rules and everything is broken in the YouTube space. The idea is that we need to put out a product. All that YouTube demands from you is a content. You don't care what the content is about. Unlike, say, in Netflix, you have to go through a quality control system. The movie has to be good. It has to be good enough to be on their platform before they make you an offer. YouTube, nobody cares. Of course, you have to take care of some of the community rules. The things that might not push your film, you are careful with it. And these people understand it. So everybody that has gone to the YouTube space is there because they're making money, not because they're making film. I keep saying it. Uchenna Mbunabo. I don't know him personally, but I know that he's a businessman. If this man was selling palm oil, he would use the same method that he's using to sell things on YouTube and he will make money. He understands it. He is a businessman proper. There's nothing, don't run away from the fact. He is not like me that I make a film and it takes me almost 2 years before I release it. Uchenna cannot afford that. He does not have the capacity as a filmmaker. He has the capacity as a businessman successfully to put content on his page every other weekend. And it is the accumulation of those things that makes him money every day. I cannot smell the money that Uchenna Mbunabo makes as a YouTube filmmaker. Uchenna Mbunabo cannot stand where I stand as a filmmaker. The quality of work that I do, he cannot afford to do it. But the money that he makes, I have not smelled half of what this man, quarter of what the man is making, I can't even contest. So they understand the YouTube space. It is a grab and go. The idea is that we are in your face and we're giving you, so it's like a drug. What they've been able to do is keep a band of people who are high on their products. All you have to do is feed them every day. Like it is a demand. Like drug addicts who are in demand. Do not allow a withdrawal period because you will just trouble every day. If you allow a withdrawal, there's going to be a problem. So Uchenna and the rest of the people, I keep using his name because he's the biggest. Nobody can contest. The rest of them who are on YouTube understand that I have to feed these people every other weekend. So it does not matter if their lip casts are on your faces every day. At the end of the day, you keep forgetting which story is which one says because it's the same people, same set, same cars they're using, probably rotating costume at some point. Unless you put your eye, you will notice it. These guys understand it. So it is, how much am I going to make this month? So I have 4 brand new films and they accumulate 10 million views. That's good money for a YouTuber in a month. He had to chunk out those 4 films that will go every weekend in a month. You know, it is a grab and go. The idea is that they shoot in less than a week, edit and everything in less than 3 weeks, and it is ready to go. I cannot do that. Strong has been in post-production for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yes, it is a back and forth. The editors will send, we clean, we cut, we do, we score. As a matter of fact, the entire music score for Strong that is coming like this, I had to redo it the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Because when I watched it, I didn't like it. I wanted to change it.
And promo is ongoing.
You don't understand. I had to go back. I scored my things. I had to go back, sat down and rescored Strong. Sent it to Shady and I told Shady, I said, look, okay, thank God that Shady is abroad. He's in the UK now. Me, I was away from this country, so the distraction was not there. I was able to focus and rescore. That's how much time it takes me to make a movie. It might be shorter, but truly, sometimes it's just you want to marinate in it. You want to make it work. That's for some of us. And even the delay was most times really because there was no distribution channel, you know, but most times it takes a while. But people you cannot afford that period of delay. No. Worst case scenario, a month, you bring out the film every month. Like maybe a Bimbo,
yeah.
You know. But somebody like Uche, Ruth Kadiri, all these people, they cannot afford not to bring out films every week. It is something that their fans cannot forgive. You have to be there every day. So the stories have to be straight up. There is no ambition in telling the story. It's just a bunch of people reading out lines. You tell us what the story is about. They hurt you, you hurt somebody back, you kiss, you don't kiss, you finish and you go. Room and parlor. 4 cars, 2 locations, everybody is good to go. It's a formula that has worked. You can't take it away. The people who are watching it are watching it. They have created a niche, they've created a following. And that was what I meant by grab and go, because it is something that you can do. Nana, I tried it. I tried to do a YouTube film. I shot it in 5 days with a 7-man crew. It was horrible.
But now you can accept
that was where I said to these people, I said, I salute you guys. The way you guys are achieving this thing, I salute you guys. Like, it's not easy. Somebody like, what's her name? Her name just skipped my head just now. I salute you guys. The way you do it. I tried it. I put it out there. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't go up to 3,000 views. I was like, ha, this is not going to be easy. Those of us that say we're coming to YouTube, this YouTube is a whole ball game. So that's what it means. And the truth is that a lot of these people use their money to make these films. What they want to do is make money back, make interest, and make more films. So when the time comes that YouTube cannot give them the kind of money that they're looking for, they will go ahead and do other things. But as it is right now, it is the only way a lot of these people know how to make money. And for you to be able to make it, it is grab and go. You have to do it now and give it now.
Wow. That's serious.
It's serious.
It's really serious.
It takes everything. It takes some level of. These guys are shooting 20, 25 scenes a day.
Yeah.
Hey, I say anytime I do a schedule and I see 10 scenes on my schedule for a shoot, it's a lot. It's plenty compared to say Hollywood where you do like 2 scenes a day. They're doing 20, 25. Do you know what it means? And you know the crew is that they're crew who are already ready. They know they are chunking out. And truly, sometimes you see the errors, the continuity problems, but who cares? Like just watch it like that. Let's be going.
I watched a film last week. I don't want to call it a film. But I was looking, I was like, what am I watching for crying out loud?
Exactly.
Like the continuity was just sick.
Yeah.
It was clear in my face like this.
There is no art.
You know, I went on the internet.
It's a million and something views. Yes.
Nah. How do you people see this film?
Absolutely. That's what's happening right now. Editing is not an art anymore, it's just cut and paste. Music, as a matter of fact, the music part is getting worse now. They've discovered Sonu and all those platforms. So they are making music from AI now and putting on as
without
soul. So musicians are losing work in Nollywood because it is faster, it is cheaper, it is easier to just get Sonu, write the lyrics, it brings out the music, you put it out there. You're not contesting with anybody. Copyright, you don't have copyright issues on YouTube. Because it will not be flagged. It's an original written whatever. These are the things that are happening now in the industry. So nobody is waiting for a musician to be doing composing. As we are editing, oh, this scene looks very nice. Let's find music for it. You enter Sony, music in 5 minutes has come out. You remove it and put it under the thing. Not the one that you're calling musician to compose and he's telling you, oh, I'm not feeling it yet. Give me some few minutes. Work will pass you.
Okay, so you mentioned Strong, which is your new film, coming to cinemas 15th, right? So when did this film come to you, and when did you feel like, okay, this is the right time to tell the story?
So in early 2024, I think, we got to a point where the commission jobs stopped coming. We had done our last production with African Magic, the Rishantes. And this had premiered and did everything that I needed to do. And, you know, we were just waiting for the next job to come, but that never came. And while I was sitting there, I said, okay, instead of just sitting down doing nothing, you know, I think I was watching Drawing Strength. And something just came to my mind. I said, what if there was a continuation of this story? And like play, it just became, I called Sophia like and I said to her, I said, I'm actually thinking about doing a sequel for Drawing Strength. She jumped up and said, yes, boss, let's do it. You know, I called Chris and Chris was also on board. And I said, you know what? I can just tell a very simple, minimal story, no ambition, nothing, just a very cool story, you know. And before I knew it, I started writing the entire idea. And then I called a very good friend of mine, Kahasa Zabadi, who I'd already worked with on other projects. She's an amazing writer. And I said to her, she had just returned to Nigeria, was looking for, pretty much was working, but she needed more. She needed something to do. And when I discovered her writing, you know, I decided, through a friend, I decided to get in touch with her. And we sat down and talked through the process. And when she sent me the script, the first draft, I was in love with it. It was beautifully written. You know, she kept it to the minimum, you know, in terms of look and feel, just a few sets of characters. And in my head, I'm like, this can work, you know. And at that point, I reached out to a couple of friends who had said to me, oh, we're interested in this film thing, want to see what we can do to invest. So I reached out to them and I said, okay, I have this script and I'm looking for money to make it. And two of them, you know, two of them, a couple and then two friends, medical doctors, decided, you know what, yeah, let's do this. You know, it's faith-based. It's a continuation of a story that was successful. No wahala. And so in 2024, we went into production for Strong. Like I said, it's not an ambitious project. It's a very simple drama. about relationships, about marriage, and about commitment. And because at that point, there was this narrative that was going around. You know, young people, especially young women, had started this whole thing about how we are not our mothers. We will not suffer in any man's house. Men has come. All of that
All
thing was
that.
going about, you know, because there's this whole narrative about how our mothers were too submissive. You know, they took too much crap from our fathers, and they were traumatized, but they stayed. You know, that sort of thing. So God forbid they want to stay there. And it came to a point where, you know, all of a sudden, as a society and as a people, we started becoming very weak in terms of standing up and fighting for things. We didn't value relationships or marriages anymore to want to keep them. No matter what happened, things happened and people were out the door. Nobody wants to even wait and talk about it or wait and sort it out. The benefit of the doubt was
It's
gone.
gone.
People were losing trust. Oh, he cheated simply because he's evil. I can't deal with this. And then you throw away your marriage, you walk away. Oh, she cheated. I can't deal with this. I'm a man. No man should. Yet you have not sat down to solve the problem. I get it. Oh, it's an abusive relationship, which me, I'll personally tell you, if it is physical and is abusive, you will die, move away. You know, but there are certain situations where you look at it and you say to yourself, we can work this out, we can fight this out, we can deal with this. And so we figured in the first story, which was Drawing Strength, Lami Washik was Sophie's character, had herself, you know, got into some sort of trouble. And, you know, Sota, the young man that was toasting at that time, was stood with her, you know, made sure that she was fine. And at the end of the day, you know, fell in love. So we decided 7 years after, because we shot this in 2019, 7 years after, Chris and Sophie had evolved as actors themselves. When they did that movie, then they were just up and coming. But now they've become powerhouses, amazing actors, big time celebrities in their own rights. And we figured, let's see what the journey would be like. 7 years after, they have evolved as actors. Their characters also have evolved. And at this point, they're married. So now they're married, love, everything is fine until Sota gets into trouble. And it's now Lami's time or turn to whether stand by him or leave him. But then what we decided to do was raise the stakes. We put her in a position where any other person would have snapped and walked away. We wanted that. We pushed her. You know, all the evidences were clear that this man did what he said he did. And there were clear grounds. And we had a character there called Shantok that we put in there who was pretty much the voice of the people. Leave him. He's a da 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 da. She was constantly barraging her with the idea of you cannot compromise for this. There is no way you need to stay in this. You have to go, you know. But Sophie's character, Lami, says, I don't want to throw away my marriage. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And suddenly she looks like the fool in the whole setup. People will insult her. Wait and see. They will call her all names. Feminists will come for her. Young women will come for her. God forbid I die for a man like that. You know, that sort of engagement, you're going to have it with the story, you know. But it resolves in a beautiful way that I can't say so that I don't give up. But it resolves in a beautiful way. And one of the things that we also wanted to do was not just tell a very simple story, but also put some sort of shock factor in it. Because there are things and turns that you will see happen in the story that I dare nobody will see coming. You know, it's one of those things I wanted to just spice up the story. So really, it's a very minimal, simple story. It's not ambitious in any way. We just make sure that we paid attention to the details, whether it was the set and locations, whether it was costume, down to makeup and hair, down to the dialogue itself, and even the performance. These were things that we're deliberate about, so that people go into the cinemas and walk out feeling like, oh, I got my money's worth. That was the agenda. Because we don't want you to walk into a cinema and come out feeling like, I've been duped. No, because the idea is that we want to do more films. We want that when you hear that we've released another film, you're anxious because you know that we're going to serve you right. So I think that we did well in terms of allowing the audience to watch it and just enjoy it. Because this was pretty much the feedback that we got from the watch party that we just had. And, you know, after the movie, everybody was now like, okay, now that is a good watch. And that was the feedback we were looking for, you know. So we hope that people will walk into the cinema, come out feeling like I didn't have to struggle to imagine what these people should have looked like. Because you say, oh, he's the presidential candidate and his house looks like a boys' quarters. No. When you say, oh, she's an architect, her house needs to feel and look like an architect. You know, oh, they are rich. What are they driving? These are the issues,
Yeah,
you know, these are things that we have to, you know. So yeah, we hope that people will get saved. But it's a good film if I say so myself. One of the things that we do also is so this film is done under Entertainment Through Christ. My wife and I run a ministry called ETC. Now, what we decided to do with ETC is make contemporary mainstream, you know, projects like films. And the idea is that we also have a way of leaving a seed in your spirit. So it's the wrong way of preaching, but not the you will die and go to hell. No. That one has its place. And please give it to Mount Zion for scaring you to serve the Lord. That works. If they don't do it, somebody else will do it. So give it to them for doing that. Ours is a more subtle, because our target is pretty much people who are rebellious through the things of faith. To be honest, we want to pull you in so that we give you a reason to think about things. So I remember I always say this in my mom, when we will fall sick, maybe fever or something, and she wants to give us chloroquine for malaria or for fever. You know, it's very bitter.
Yes.
And every child hated that thing.
True.
You know, so my mom would do this trick where she would get a bar or fufu, whatever, put the drug inside, mold it, put it in the soup, and give you to swallow. So you swallow it and you swallow the drug. The two will dissolve and the drug will dissolve. Is how you do the work. That's exactly the concept of what it is about. What we do is that we create the eba and the soup and put the word of God in the middle of it. We feed you with it because we're attracting you with the beauty of what we're doing. We're attracting you, so but then you sit down and you watch it, and before you realize it, the message has hit you. You start thinking about the things that were said or the things that were done, and then you start putting yourself in a position. Now, what we do behind the scene is pray that your curiosity or whatever it is that has prompted you or whatever it is that has, you know, pricked your spirit will make you find answers. Maybe go to a church, talk to somebody, you know, that we have done our job. You know, so pretty much it's faith-based, but it's done in a way that everybody can enjoy it, and there's a message at the end of the day.
So mainly, what challenged you most on this project?
Distribution, to be honest. Like, when we finished the movie, we got the money to make the movie. You know, when we had it done, we now went into post-production, but then there was a delay in terms of when the streamers pulled away. Our initial plan was to see if we could get the streaming deal, but then the streamers pulled away. And then now we're left with the option of going to the cinemas. And that's another budget on its own completely, because cinema, you know, you pay so much money. You're talking between 20 to 30 million naira to go to the cinemas, you know. And that was a challenge for us because we weren't really anticipating to go to the cinema. So the challenge, first of all, was that having, you know, the distributors pick up the movie, because at this point, there was so much choke at the bottleneck of the industry. A lot of other films who couldn't go to the streamers were now looking for some sort of exit output, you know, and then the cinemas started rushing the cinemas. Distributors now started selecting, you know, out of all the ones that were coming, which ones were worthy in terms of, you know, they were able to market it. And so we had to wait for that line to get to a place where, okay, there is now space. We wanted this film to come out in February, but there was no space. We wanted, because it's also a love story, we wanted it to come out in Easter because it was a faith-based film. There was no space. The only time that we could get was 15th. If you notice, there are about 4 Nigerian films coming out on Friday. Because there is a whole choke in the industry everybody is looking for. And the week after, there are 4 other strong films that are coming. In the first 3 weeks of our film coming out, we have competition lying down the road. So if you're dancing on TikTok or you find some other way of selling your market, it's going to be difficult because there's so many films coming out in just these 3 weeks that is going ahead. You know, so that was the major challenge, distributing it. Our own, we felt that we were ever going to flip it, collect what we could collect from the streamers, move on, pay investors, find something else to do, you know. But now we have to do that, and so it's money that we have to spend to do in cinema ad marketing. It's money that we had to spend to do the what do you call it, the watch party that we had. It's money that we have to spend on social media to keep bombarding people with our message and boosting it, doing the meta ad to make sure that it spreads around this country. So that was pretty much the challenge. But in terms of making the film, it wasn't that big of a challenge because we had investors who gave us the money to make the film. Up until we finished, we had enough money to make it, based on what the story was about. But then after that, the struggle was to get it out, and thank God that it's coming out on the 15th. So finally.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to Strong.
Well, I hope you will like it. I hope you will like it. Yes.
Okay, so now let's come back to Abuja. Right, you spent a lot of time in creative spaces beyond Nigeria. So right now, talking about Abuja, what do you think about the current creative habitats of Abuja right now?
So, as a filmmaker, I'll talk as a filmmaker from my own perspective. Abuja is probably the easiest place to make a film in terms of logistics and how do I put it, the ease of working. There's so many things that work to your advantage. The fact that the city is not choked the way, so you're not dealing with traffic issues, you're not dealing with delays in terms of movement. It's also not a city where you're being hounded and distracted by people demanding things from you, whether it's touts, whether it's city, whatever. Pretty much, all that it's easier that way. Abuja also provides you with some sort of modern texture in terms of the look and feel. You're looking for some of the most modern buildings, you find them in Abuja. So it has its own character for stories that are set in today's world. It's easy to get those sort of look and feel. It's easy to get those sort of interiors. It's easy because people around here are investing pretty much in making sort of modern, So in terms of Abuja, for me, that is the thing that it helps with, the ease of doing work. That's number one. But Abuja is very expensive when it comes to film production. I promise you, I think it's even more expensive than Lagos. Why? Because the people from around here did not invest in opening up to filmmakers. I give an example. Somebody who has a house that is well furnished probably is not thinking about filmmakers coming. He doesn't want to make money from your money. How much are you paying me? Don't come and destroy what you want. An average Lagosian built because he wants to make money. So whether it's a mansion that he has kept in one place and people can come and rent and make films, the fact that he's making money from it is good for him. So it's easier to find things like that. In Abuja, it's not. A lot of people build for their own private use. So sometimes it's hard to convince people to allow you into their space. Now, for those who are for commercial level, they've also come to realize, if I'm not making money from these people, who else am I going to make money? So they charge you higher. Those are the things that you deal with. In terms of Abuja as a city itself, it hasn't fully developed as a character by itself, almost like Lagos. Lagos itself is a character. When you tell a story in Lagos, the texture of Lagos itself helps your story by itself. So you want to do something gritty, something very traditionally nuanced. Lagos gives you, everywhere you turn your camera, Lagos is a character. Your backdrop will naturally feel very good because whether you're looking for a sophisticated look, you're looking for that dingy ghetto setup, Lagos provides you with it. Abuja does not have that sort of, it has a modern feel, but then even at that, sometimes it's not the best backdrop, for a theme, so to say. You have to be very deliberate about looking for your locations and making it work. And then if you're looking for anything, dingy, and you have to go down to the Paros, the Nyanyas, or the Dubays, and most times a lot of filmmakers don't like doing that journey. So, we end up with, so for that, in terms of the creative angle of it, that's what Abuja is about. Now, in terms of the people who operate in the creative space, I think there's a lot of disunity amongst us. We do this individual thing. Everybody is by himself. The collaborative level or the collaboration level is very minimal. Like we hardly communicate. There are filmmakers in this country, in this town, that I've not seen in years. We don't talk, we don't meet. There's never been a forum or a forum where we've gone to sit down and talk about how to deal with issues. And I maybe they're doing it, but I don't know. It's a system where everybody just operates on his own lane. And that is really not encouraging.
That's the problem. 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 That's the problem.
That is the problem. One time I had an issue with the Actors Guild of Nigeria. Of course, I'm very notorious in this town for people don't go and report me. So when I do large scale productions, there are a lot of times where some extras or some characters might not get paid. It happens. I'm not the only one. And I found myself constantly being reported to agencies. This we did work, this man did not pay us, and da da da. Da. I got a call from the AGN one time and they said to me, oh, they got some complaints for some actors that I did not pay them. I said, I won't know these people because I have associate producers, line producers who handle all of these things. Me, I will not know. If they don't tell me, I won't know. So who are these people? Say, oh, they're six in number. How much is this money? Say 100 and something thousand naira. They want to come and demonstrate in front of me. I say, how? I told the AGN guy, I said, but you see, this thing is wrong. I said, you AGN that you're in this town, have you ever come to my office to say, oh, you are the biggest? I dare anybody to say it. I'm the biggest employer of actors in this town. Of all the projects that I've done, no filmmaker has employed actors the way I have. No filmmaker in this town has paid actors what I have paid. I dare anybody to come and say it. But AGN has never come to this office to say, oh, let's have a conversation with you, more opportunities for our members. Nobody ever came. They will do their annual night, whatever. I've never been invited. Nobody has ever invited me. Nobody. And I'm not saying that it is a must. I'm saying that they always come to me when there's 150,000 naira and people are complaining that I've not paid them. That's when they remember that Mr. Dimbo is there. And that's an issue for me. Because, I mean, at some point you have to say, this man, I can confidently tell you that since Hadita up till today, we have paid close to 800 million or more just in remuneration to actors, crews, and whatever. Yes, I can confidently tell you that. But nobody has ever come here to say, oh, you know, we appreciate what you're doing. I'm just saying, you know, nobody. But then when there's an issue, and it is a small issue, when there's a delay in payments, that thing goes around the industry. Oh, I bet you hear that Mr. Dimbo does not pay, we don't pay. I'm like, see, guys, you guys don't understand how this thing works, but it's okay, I get it. You know, you will not say the good part. And that's the annoying thing. When they get paid, they don't go back and say, oh, he has paid us. No, they'll just leave it hanging, and that story is always there. You know. So that's the issue. It is the lack of unity and the lack of putting ourselves together that most times people don't even know what I do in this house. You know. So it is a challenge, and I feel like we should have a forum, we should have space where we gather and we just talk about the industry and how it affects us. You know, because a lot of times we don't do things solo, and you know, that's it. So those are the challenges that I see for Abuja. But then, you know, every other person that functions in this city, they found their own niche, found their own way of doing things. And I think that as a team, we can do better, you know, because a lot of our actors are leaving back to Lagos because the opportunities are bigger there. Whether anyhow, if you see something, Abuja is periodic, you know. The last time we did any production was December last year. It's been 6 months plus now that we haven't done anything. So imagine if actors and crew people are depending on us for work. It's definitely not going to happen. The only people who are filming every other week are the YouTubers.
Yeah.
You know, and that is even dangerous for people who have done proper film work. Because you go to these spaces and you have to water down whatever it is that you know. Nobody cares about your professional level. From the actors down to the crew, you have to water down to how we do things here. We need to. My sound guy told the other day, I said to me, Jerry said to me that they called him to the YouTube. When he went there, they gave him this microphone for content.
Yeah.
So that's the microphone they wanted him to use to record the entire film. And he told them, Nehi, I'm not doing this. he walked away from the job. You know, that's how you're expected to water down from using professional recorders and professional microphones to using clip mics for content to record. As far as the producer is concerned, that's the tool that you have. That is how much they can downgrade you. And it's dangerous for the industry because once you go there and you now get into the whole system and you're getting all that 250, 300 every week, of course that sustains you. But then it waters down your craft. It takes you to a place where, you know, you become irrelevant to when we're looking for real people to step up. Those are the issues. But Abuja has its own thing. But, you know, I'm glad that I function from here. When I was leaving Lagos, they told me, oh, if you leave Lagos, they will forget you. I said, no, if I'm good at what they do, what I do, they will come here.
Definitely.
So I've been able to stay here. I've been able to bring people in here. We've been able to make all our films from here. I've never shot in Lagos, and I'm looking forward to making my first film in Lagos maybe one of these days. But everything that I produce will produce here in Abuja.
Wow.
Yeah.
So finally,
Yeah.
Years from now,
Mm.
what do you want your work to be remembered for? Like when people look back at your project, one thing you want them to hold on to, that this is Mr. Dimbo, what is known for?
I think that it's very important that we understand that the film culture, the film industry, the creative space in Nigeria will always be here, years to come. And what we must do as stakeholders is to sort of keep the lifeline. There's so many things that are tearing these industries apart, pulling us left, right, and center. There are people that have given up in this work. They've decided I can't do it anymore. There are industries, investors who have decided they will not give money. I bet you every of the people that have invested in the films that I'm struggling to sell now, when I come to them tomorrow, they will not listen to me because the industry has done it in a way that I'm not able to pay them back in good time. If these were monies that they had set up to do other things, unfortunately, they've not gotten the investment back. I'm still struggling to. These are the things that are killing the industry. What we wanted to do initially was grow investor confidence, but now we've lost it because the industry has put in a position where there's no outlet to sell these things. So many things are happening to the industry. When government decided they were going to come into the industry to give grants, we collected these grants, bought cars, got married, built houses, and didn't do anything about it. The streamers came and were giving us heavy money to do productions, and we're using them for personal, So at the end of the day, they pulled and left. Every time, something happens in the industry, something pulls it down. For me, I think that one of the biggest things is that I am one of the many people that are still holding the Nollywood lifeline, so to say, by whether we like it or not, creating this content and making this film in the proper way that it should be done. Yes, you have every reason to compromise. The YouTube space is enticing, you want to go and make that money, but that is a long-term thing, and even if you start now, you're still going to have to water down because it is a system that is used to you can't come and say you're doing 2 weeks on set. There's no actor that is on YouTube right now that can stay more than 2-3 days on your set because they're already booked, fully booked. If I'm going to do a proper film with any actor from YouTube right now, I'm going to pay him money that might cover the next 3 films or 4 films that he's supposed to have done to keep him on my set for a 15-day shoot. So some of us are there. Like I said, it's the only thing that I've invested my life into. I don't do anything else. Even though I figured that if I was going to sell akara, I'll probably sell it well. Maybe I might think about going into akara and some sort of food business. But this is the only thing that I live for. I do every day, nothing else. So for me, it is almost like gatekeeping the quality and the proper film structure that we must hold on to for the future generation. When we go through this madness, there are some people that need to wake up and say, oh, I was tutored by, or I sat down with Mr. Dimbo, and this is how much he kept alive. This whole idea. I have people that work with me, Ruben, Tong, Pam, Teso. These are all young people that I work with every day. And for me, every day is living the life of being a filmmaker and doing it well. Whether it's the process of writing has to be done well so that people, whether it's the pre-production process, we have to do it well so that people can learn. Whether it's during the process of filming, so you don't lose that true culture of filmmaking. That has become my burden, whether directly or indirectly. And so even if we're going to go into the YouTube space, the first film that we did for YouTube, Boxed, was properly done. Unfortunately, it's not what the people want to see. They want that whole not properly done thing, and it's still a problem, So for me, I feel like some people still hold on, and I'm there helping to stand in the gap to say proper filmmaking is still an art that we must respect. There are a lot of other people who are doing that, and I hope that we'll continue to do that, even in the midst of uncertainties, even in the midst of the lack of distribution channels, that one day to pick up because some people held that line and refused to let go and refused to water down the industry. That's pretty much one of my biggest legacies. I hope that the people who are learning from me, the people who have decided that I am their mentor, will always look at that and say, oh, we agree with this man because he always stays with the quality, he always stays with the process, which is something that we cannot do without.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
This
very
has
much.
been-
I've not spoken this much in a long time.
I'm glad I could make it talk this long.
I have not spoken this much in a long time, but I am glad that you came. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank
Sir.
you,
Thank you very much, sir.
Sincerely appreciate it.
I look forward to strong, and trust me, I'm taking everybody that cares to follow me.
Yeah.
The ones I have to drag, I'm going to drag them
Please.
to go see. To go
We
see Strong.
totally appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
sir.
very much, my
Thank
brother.
you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. All right. I hope you have enough space for the recording.
I do actually. Whoa.